Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Millennial's Guide to Real Estate Investing. Today I have my buddy Humberto Gaeta with me. He is a networking and marketing expert. He's a real estate redeveloper, or he flips houses in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's been part of over 20 transactions. He's done $200,000 in wholesale fees, and he's raised $1 million in just a couple of days without knowing what he was actually doing. Welcome to the show.
What's going on? What's up, people? How you Martel? Man, let's spread some knowledge.
Let's do it. So I like to first start off with how you got started in real estate investing. What were you doing before this? What got you into it? And what that first deal look like and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, without giving you the long version of it, essentially I was graduating as a mechanical engineer out of UC Irvine, and I was just the last year I had done an internship where like I worked for the guy for about a whole summer before I went into my senior year, and the guy was not paying me; it was non-paid internship. But the guy made like 3 million because I was managing his projects. So I was going to be a mechanical engineer and then a project manager. And so I saw that he made 3 mil and I made nothing. And when I asked for pay, like to get paid on a hourly, he didn't want to even give me $12 an hour. So I'm like, you know what? There's people out there that are doing things different. There's people out there that are doing things, making a good living without having to work for someone. And so that's when I started reading, Robert Kiyosaki. And then on my way to school, one of those days, I heard this infomercial of Fortune Builders, Than Merrill, and that's a community that we're a part of. And so that's when I started. I just heard it. And I'm like, okay, I always wanted to put my money into real estate,
Yeah.
and I wanted to see, real estate agent side. I didn't even know anything about real estate aside from helping my dad, fix his rentals
Yeah.
and doing the roofing. I mean, you tell me like we've done everything for a rental. But aside from that, I was just like, you know what? Let me go get educated. So I went to this 3-day event, which ended up I didn't have the money for. But then that's when I really found out my forte for what I can do, which was I know I can hustle, and I know if I need to find, I will become resourceful for whatever I need to do to find that source. And so I needed to raise money to get into this education platform. So I went to another 3-day event 2 months later. I had the cash. I brought my dad there, and he thought that he was gonna pay, and I was like, nope, I got this. I raised the money, and that was like my first raising money scenario, with money for my own education.
Wow.
And then yeah, like 14 months later on, I was able to pay off all my student loans, so have that off, pay off all my credit cards, and that was just like mind blowing because I mean I'm 24 and I still have friends that are have either just graduated from their masters,
Yeah.
and they're, and I get it. I mean, everybody has their own way of making a living. I just want to take control of my life and not have someone else dictate when I can go spend time with Mr. Martel or with my family or with friends. And so I was just like, no, I'm taking life by the horns, and that's essentially what it was. And real estate investing was my vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You want to have control over your life, and you realize that working for somebody else who was making all this money wasn't worth your time anymore. You wanted to be the guy running the show and also paying people well too. And that's what, like, I had an unpaid internship too my last year at Loyola Marymount University, where I graduated from. And that last year I was making this guy all this money. And then he wasn't paying me, and then it came time for him to actually pay me, and I never got my paycheck, and I ended up leaving and doing that's how I got started too, was. And then now everybody that works for me gets paid well, they get paid on time, they get paid.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing that whole thing progress, right? And taking control of your own destiny, not having somebody else making the decision for you.
But something has to happen in your life, in your journey, in order for that to get triggered, and then you start looking for it. I mean, there's the phrase that the teacher will appear when the student is ready, and so the platform for me to educate myself was already there. I just needed to go find it. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of like when you're looking for something and you ask for it, and you're always, spending that energy to go and seek for that resource, the universe will answer, and you will find what you're looking for. That's when you become resourceful. That's
Yeah.
what you, in another word, a hustler,
Yeah.
because you start looking for what you need and you find it, because it's just the law of, the universe. You attract what you're
Natural attraction. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like attraction, man. Just this
Yeah.
podcast, man. To me, that's
So then tell us. So you went to that educational program. You got joined up with Fortune Builders. You started learning about real estate investing. Then, what were you? So this educational program, for everybody listening, they teach you about wholesaling, flipping houses. What else am I missing? Wholesaling, flipping houses, rental properties. They teach you how to raise money, how to put a deal together, how to analyze a deal. What most interested you about what you were learning in that program, and what action step did you take outside of that course to, like, was your path like, oh, I want to flip houses locally, and that's what you started doing right away, or did you start with wholesaling? What was your first action step, and was it successful, and what was the next thing you did?
well, the first thing going through the platform was I wanted to go and just learn the spectrum of real estate. So that was a great platform for me to learn everything, like you said, wholesaling, rehabbing, commercial. At least be aware of it. I didn't want to learn it in depth. I wanted to be aware of it. So when I was speaking, like, you're in the you invest out of state. So now I can talk that lingo and just be aware of what lingo you're going to be talking about. So the next step for me was actually, because we had built a community locally that would meet once a month. I created that back in November 2016, and that essentially got all a network together, and we were sharing resources, we were sharing deals, people were getting doing business together. And so out of one of those opportunities came a good buddy of mine found a deal, and I was like, oh, this is a new construction deal. I didn't know anything about new construction, but I knew who could do a new construction. So I brought the new construction guy to the table, our friend David Herrera, and then Donald had found the deal, and then David was just like, pat me on the back. I'm like, all right, go raise 630,000. You got a couple days. And I'm like, what? Like, I've never raised anything. Like, I'm like, I've never done this. I don't know the documentation. The good thing was that he had already a money manager on the table, so that knew all the documentation ins and outs. What I had to do is like the introductions, the rapport with investors. And so once I position myself with a team that knew what they were doing, essentially that was an easy way for me to get launched. And so being able to raise all that money in such a short amount of time, that was my first aha moment, because I was like, we raised 630,000 in just a couple of days, and then fast forward, probably 9 months later, that's when we had that, we had to raise like 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And we did it within a week, 7 days. And so I remember going through that, and I was just like, no, we got this. We can do this. So I have to give it to the education, the network that we're a part of, that what we were able to leverage. And I mean, you want to be able to leverage everything, other people's time, other people's resources, other people's money, in real estate. So coming out of college, a 24-year-old, who is gonna trust this kid, right?
Yeah.
That they called the Cookie. My nickname's Cookie, and they're just like, who the hell is this guy? But dude, it's all about hustling and making things work and knowing that you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so phenomenal that you have this podcast, because you're teaching people that it can be done. It's not out of the norm. You can do it, and there are people out there that are making it happen. So, dude, my hat off to you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's why I bring people on like you. I mean, I'm 23, you're 24. We're same age group. A lot of people listening are in our age group and have the same concern. And you brought up one concern right there, which was, how am I going to raise money? Nobody's going to trust me. I don't even have a hair on my face, right? I'm a little baby face. Yeah, like that. I'm a baby face. How is anybody going to, take me seriously? I haven't been in the business for 30, 40 years. And, you're proving everything wrong with what you're saying is like, and me too. Like I had done one deal out of state and every single deal after that was raised with other investors. And how did I do it? Well, you got to build a rapport with that investor. You have to show the investor that they're going to be making X amount of dollars. Their money's going to be protected in this, and this way. Right. So, I get a lot of questions from people who are like, how am I going to raise money for my deal, whether it be a local flip or an out of state, whatever. So what are some ways did you raise all those funds from that network that you were that education platform you were part of, or did you ever go outside of that and raise money in other methods?
Mostly from the network, because I saw that that network already knew what rehabbing, wholesaling, real estate was. Trying to go and find that money elsewhere was going to be 10 times as hard, because then you have to
educate
what real estate, you have to educate. There you go. And if they've already been educated, then it's easy for them to
they understand what you're doing.
Exactly. It's from like the push and pull method. One is you're pulling them because you're trying to convince them, and the other one you're asking them to participate because you already have influence. You already have that rapport with them. So when I saw that, when I learned a little bit of sales and negotiation, I'm like, okay, now I'm literally asking people to participate in our deals, instead of like convincing them about it. Now it's just a matter of answering their small questions. How am I secured? What am I going to be making? When is it expected return? So all of that expedited my my goals that I had, and then being able to achieve it. So a lot of confidence came from that.
Got it. Okay, cool. Now moving on. So that's about the raising money part. Now, a lot of the questions that people want answers to is how the hell do you find all those transactions in the Bay Area? And can you kind of dive in on how you guys find deals, and especially about the numbers game that you guys are playing with the Bay Area?
Yeah. And so once again, this goes back to the concept. You want to leverage people's resources, people's money, people's time, people's efforts, and everything. Yeah. So I saw really quickly that there agents in our market, they're already marketing to homeowners. They're already marketing to. So why am I gonna? First, I didn't have a penny to put into marketing, because at the time I didn't have $1,000, $3,000, or let alone the people that are doing $30,000, $50,000 a month in marketing. Yeah. I'm like, okay, no, I don't have money. What can I do? Yeah. And so I ended up thinking, I'm like, okay, let's leverage people that are already doing this marketing. How can we do that? Well, one of them was the networking group that we had, and so leveraging their marketing. But then I saw that there wasn't much business coming out of that. So I'm like, okay, well, how about we start targeting, networking, talking to, sitting down, having coffee with the top agents in our area. You and I know that if the national average is, I think, 2 or 3 transactions per agent. Yep. If they've done 4 or more, that means that they're doing something right. They have marketing, whether they're networking gurus or just have mail or are good at Facebook. I don't know, but I want to talk to these people. I want to be friends with them. Yeah. And so I figured out how to find these and locate these agents that were having tremendous success in the past 12 months in the areas that I was looking for deals. And I ended up contacting them, calling them, texting them. And of course, there's several softwares behind all of this that makes it more convenient, because I always like to be the one being chased, not the one calling them. So that's essentially the success that we had early on when we had that $200,000 month, which was, and we set out a goal. We were like, we're making $200,000 in the next 30 days. Yeah. And we were crazy because we'd never done a wholesale deal. We were crazy because we didn't know where the hell we were going to get money from. Yeah. But I knew I had thought of a system that will allow us to leverage the softwares to be able to reach all the top agents in an instant. Like in the next 5 minutes, I can call every top agent in in the Bay Area if I wanted to, in Santa Clara County, in any other county.
Yeah.
And so I started getting, pretty agile with that. And I'm like, okay, how many deals do we want to make? How many deals do we want to find? How many people do we want to contact? And so being able to just have that little dialer that okay, how many do we want? Do we want to find more deals? Do we want less? So and we're all learning, right?
Yeah.
And we had that excellent month, and that got us into, okay, now let's pick up houses, rehabs. So we picked up nine in the following 4 months, and we're like, damn. When we looked at how much we had raised in those 4 months, I think we raised like 4.6 million.
Wow.
End of the day. So it was crazy. And there was 1 week where it was like there was 3 transactions that we had to raise, plus over $1 million. So it was crazy. It was hectic, but it was fun at the end of the day because we were all learning.
Yeah.
So in terms of how to find these deals, to answer your question, it was leveraging other agents, marketing, networking with them. That's the story behind it.
And how did you find those top producing agents? What did you use to be able to find those agents? What are ways that practical tips that people can use to find the best top producing agent in their market?
So they can go on Zillow, they can go on Redfin. I ended up becoming a ninja because I was an assistant to an agent. So I had MLS access. I had all the transactions. The MLS is just a database of everything that has gone on. And if your market is using that accordingly, you want to be able to use that. You want to be able to extract information, whether it's addresses, how do you come up with the hot markets, hot zones, neighborhoods that are coming out. So as I started learning from the local expert, the trainer for the MLS, I'm like, what else can I extract? And they were just like, well, you can extract everything about a transaction. And that being said, I can see how many transactions each agent had. So being able to see that, I'm like, okay, under 4 transactions, I'm out. Over 4 transactions, I want to talk to you guys. So you're looking at numbers where in my area there was 27,000 agents. From 27,000 agents, how much time would it take you to deal with 27,000 people?
It's a lot of coffees, huh?
It's a lot of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of coffee. And then the time. And so I'm like, okay, cool. We ended up going down to 986 contacts, top agents that had 5 or more. How much time did I not just save?
Whole lot of time.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I consider myself a real estate investor, but I'm more of a investor with my time because I know where to put it.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's seeing this video, seeing this podcast, when you're starting off, you're investing your time, and you have to invest your time wisely. Yeah. Even though you don't have money, you can find money. You can't find time. That's not something that we all have a definite number of time. We're all running on the same clock. Money comes and goes. That's for real. You can raise that. You can earn that. You can waste it all away in Vegas.
Yeah.
But time is the one thing that I've become really conscious of where I put it. So going down from 27,000 to 986, and then being able to talk to those guys, man, it was soon I realized that just talking to 20 of those people, I started getting deals in my inbox. I started making the right connections, and people that were willing and wanting to work with us, and seeing the vision. Of course, not all the agents are going to want to work with investors, but if you know how to treat them, and you know how to build rapport with them, which is big, you'll be able to make this machine that is just going to be feeding you. So once that little snowball started down the mountain, I couldn't stop it anymore. It was just feeding us deals after deal after deal, and now we're having to reject more deals than we can take in. And that's just a good position to be in.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, that's a super practical advice. Somebody can get an MLS access, be an assistant to an agent or something like that, pull the whole list of MLS agents, and then they could also filter it with a pivot table or something like that, which is something you can use with Excel to filter out the number one top producing agent all the way down to number 950 top producing, and people can get on the phone and call number one. Number one's probably not going to work with a local real estate investor. Number 3, 6, 10 is probably not going to want to, but maybe number 33 is going to want to work with you and has some deals in their back pocket that they can share with you, right? So, I mean, I'm starting to implement that kind of system in my market too, and it's just another way to get deals coming in without spending too much money, because getting a phone number is free, picking up the phone and spending 3 minutes is free, right? It's your time, but it's not going to cost you. You know, you said you didn't have $2,000 in the bank or whatever, and a lot of people listening don't, but they want to be a wholesaler or want to get some deals coming in. This is a free way. It just all comes down to networking, which is what I love about what you're saying, is like everything that you've done so far didn't cost you, money, a whole lot of money. It just was, you just kept using your resources, and your network was your net worth, really, for everything that you've said and what you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the key at the end of the day, being able to do that. So we ended up turning just shy of $25 into 200 grand in 30 days. So seeing the power of that is just, mind blowing. So that's a real key, like being able to leverage the resources that you have at your disposal. And it's nothing that is like ninja, man. It's just like knowing where to put the pieces together to make that happen. And so for a lot of people that are watching, man, you just be resourceful with what you have, what you know, ask the questions, see what they're doing. And I'm a big believer that real estate is still being done in an old fashioned, and for like people like you and I, ones that are going to benefit from the next wave, because we're savvy, because we know how to leverage softwares to make our life easy.
Yeah.
And so you have with what you're doing, and man, that's ahead of the game for the people that are millennials, and you know how to use a phone, and you know how to text, you know how to be on social media. You're already ahead of the game.
Yeah. You
just need to know how to use your phone. That's it.
Exactly.
More so than my laptop, and actually my laptop's dying right now. So it's just like, because I never use it anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing everything DocuSign, signing contracts through the phone and whatnot. So if you have a phone, the entrance to real estate can really be very small, and they probably already have it on the hip pocket.
Yep. Love that. So tell us what typical deals look like for you, for your beer. I think it's going to be, because I know the numbers, but I want the people to hear too. What does a typical deal look like for you? How are you guys? So explain about the hard money side of things, and then what private money you use to fund the rest of that transaction. So how does the whole stack for you on the deal numbers, but also the raising money typically?
Yeah. So the typical numbers that we play around with in the Bay Area, we're usually buying anywhere from 1 million to 1.6. So I'm just going to give you a typical deal that we have going on. So we purchase it around 1 million. What we have to raise for the gap, which is going to be, paid for the hard money, the project management fees, the interest costs, holding costs, and the gap. That's around 300,000. That's just on a typical deal in the Bay Area where we are. Of course, we've gone higher. One of the biggest acquisitions that we've had was closer to 2 million. But just on average, 1 million, raising 300,000 for the gap. We'll probably be closing within 6 months. Usually it'll be 4 to 5. And what else do you want to know? Those essentially, that's kind of the numbers that we're around with.
So explain what's a typical ARV, and then what does gap mean?
The gap is essentially the money that you have to come to the table with. And so coming to the table with, I use 5 categories. So to raise a gap, it's not just so one is I need to pay 15% of the purchase price. My hard money lender will take care of 85. Then I need to come up with the 6 months, say it's a 6-month project, the hard money lending payments. So for the 6 months.
Hard money loan, yep.
Exactly. Let me pop this, let me get this connected because I don't want to lose you.
No worries.
Give me 1 second. or else this is gonna.
Die.
Um, so you have the interest cost, you have the 15%, the hard money, and then also the project management fees. This is one key thing that our education didn't teach us, but something that definitely will get you out of your W-2 job, which is paying yourself for doing the project. So we pay ourselves a fee per month to manage the project. If you set yourself correctly, that having a couple projects will end up being more than what you're making on a W-2 job if you're working somewhere for a couple grand. So that's a big one that we added this past year, and it's helped us out a lot because we're all running off of bills, we're all running off of rent, we all have that monthly cycle. So we want to be able to not just wait for that big check at the end, but be able to take care of ourselves along the way. So you got your 15%, your hard money payments for the next 6 months.
Yep.
The project management fees. 2% is a rule of thumb. 2% of the purchase price are for your closing costs, right? And I wrote down the fifth one. Are we writing it up there? I got Arvin over here. he's writing some stuff down, but let me share with you because I wrote it down. PM fees, and then 25% of the rehab cost.
Yeah.
Is for because you need to be able to get to the first draw with our hard money lenders. So 25% of the rehab cost
got it.
is to get me to that first draw.
Got it.
So those are the 5 teams. Just to summarize for you guys out there, take this. I'm going to say this one more time because I really want you guys to take this home because I know educational platforms don't tell you this, and it also depends on your hard money lender. But to raise enough money, you'll want your 15% purchase price, which is the gap for the purchase price, 2% of the closing cost, which will be 2% of the purchase price is your closing, 25% of your rehab to start your rehab, the hard money lending interest payments for the duration.
6 months. Yep.
And then the fifth one is your project management fees. Pay yourself, people, or else you're going to be digging into your credit cards, digging into your personal funds, digging into your savings, and that's the last thing that I want to do.
Yeah. Let
me do a little mic drop. How much money do you think that I've put into my deals? We're about 14 million in assets that we're renovating. How much money do you think I've put of my money?
10 grand.
10 grand? If I had it. I have put 1 penny of my money.
Yeah, so you guys have raised 100% of the equity needed, right? For every single project?
So for every single project, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what that means for the people listening, so let's say your purchase price is $1 million. Your renovation's $200,000, right? Let's say?
Yeah.
And then hard money, which is pretty much a private bank with super high interest rates, is going to come and fund. How much do they fund? 90% of your project?
85% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab costs.
Okay. So they're going to fund a good chunk of your deal, and then you're going to have to raise money, come out with your own pocket, but you guys are turning around to your network to help fund the rest of the funds needed, which is those 5 things that you just talked about. So what are you offering those private money lenders to help fund your deal? Do they ever ask for you guys to have skin in the game, to show that you guys have an equity interest in the deal as well?
You're the hard money lender, you mean?
The private money lenders.
The private money lenders? They know what we're doing, and they're usually close contacts of ours that come to meetings. They see us on a weekly basis. So because that trust has already been built there, we haven't had that come up where, like, well, where's your skin in the game?
Got it.
And for those people that understand the business model that we have, understand that leveraging, we only have so much money. If I only have so much, 100 grand to my name, that's a substantial amount for someone that doesn't know real estate investing. But for 100 grand, you couldn't even do the gap, and not even half the gap for a typical deal. You can do that probably in the Midwest and buy it and rehab it, but not in the Bay Area. So we really help them understand what it takes in order to do a rehab locally. And some of them we end up joint venturing with down the road. Granted that they bring a deal to the table, granted that they bring something to the table.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, for what are you offering those private money lenders?
Double-digit returns, my friend.
Okay.
And I always love giving them double-digit returns because their money, I mean, their money is somewhere sitting on a 401k, a solo 401k, a retirement account, which is maybe making what? Don't
6,
talk to me
7.
about the bank,
Yeah.
where bank gives you 0.0001% on your savings, or a CD. Have you
Yeah.
heard of a CD?
Yeah.
I literally thought it was a little CD, and I was just like, I was like, what are you getting? 1.75%
Yeah.
on an annual basis, APY. I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'll give you 10 times that.
Yeah.
And dude, they get excited, and people got excited, and for the people, and that's why the people that are successful in this industry understand the financing, understand the knowledge that is spread. People got excited before they learned about real estate investing, going from money that was saved in their savings that got 0.001%
Yeah.
to 0. They got about 2% in a CD,
Yeah.
and so they were stoked. They were excited. It was gonna grow. How long was that gonna take for them to duplicate? Double their money.
Yeah.
It was gonna take what, 60,
70
80, 90
years. Yeah.
years? I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But you start talking about double-digit returns, dude, their money is going to be doubling anywhere from 7 to 9 years.
Yep.
And that is something more feasible. Then you actually don't have to die in order to to get that
Get your money.
You can actually see that. You can actually start, if you got a 7-year-old and they're going to be 14, then 21, you can pay for their college, if you double down on your making that money grow and not letting the stock market dictate it, because we already know how volatile the stock market is. I'm not downing on it. I don't know enough about it, but I know people have, we talk back to 2008 and what happened. I mean, can I control the stock market? No. Can I control a transaction and what happens on it and who's working on it?
Yeah.
I can. So the fact that I can control the transaction and the investment, that allows me to dictate how much money we can make, how much money is at risk, how much money, everything. We can track everything.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, couple final questions. So the real estate market in the Bay Area has been slowing down a little bit. So I want to get so every flipper I've had on here, I kind of ask them the same question. What do you think about the current market? Are you guys just looking for a bigger spread on your projects because you don't know exactly where the ARV will land depending on the month that the deal comes alive? Are you guys looking at getting into some other sides of real estate, maybe rentals or apartment buildings? What are you guys working on to kind of diversify your risk out of the flip space, if you are?
We're looking for bigger margins. I remember when we started picking up properties, we were around 10 to 12% on the ROI, and now we're looking at no less than 15.
Oh wow!
Now to this point, we're probably even looking at 17% ROIs. So really banking on creating that value in that property to be able to have a big buffer for if anything happens. People still make money if the market starts turning. If you know how to flip a house within 45 to 90 days, you can flip a house and really do a cosmetic. It's hard to find the deals, but if you know how to find them, if you know how to rehab them fast, our strategy now goes from I've done a new construction, I've done addition, I've done a quick rehab. And from all of that learning in the past, 14 months, I'd say that I am comfortable doing a rehab within 45 to 90 days. If it's a cosmetic rehab, I'll go on it because I know I can see my comps and I can see what I can sell for. And even if it dips 10, 20%, I can still make money.
Got it.
So it's going to be a difference between making 200 grand and 120. Who's going to be crying for that?
Got it.
So we're still going to be making money because you can see it, and there's a lot less variables. So we've shifted definitely going into 2019. not knowing what the market might do. Well, let's not think about the market. Let's think about what we can do now in this moment and be able to control it. It's not what the market is doing, but what you're doing in the market.
Got
So
it.
going back to wholesaling, you have no risk, and you can hand these off to other more experienced investors.
Yeah.
That's their niche. So if you don't have any risk and you're just putting, say, $5,000 to lock it up, then you only have $5,000, and still then you have a contingency that protects your money to get that back. So definitely doing quicker rehabs is what we've shifted on with margins, and then wholesaling.
Love it.
Because we can, and that's it. And that's just in the flip side. Talking about like commercial, we're definitely going into commercial because that's the bigger play. Everybody that starts flipping wants to get into the commercial space, so we're already doing that. We have a team getting together to make that happen, and that's coming up pretty quick. That's something that I'm excited about, and some people that I know that have a little bit more beard than I do, are influencers in what we're doing on that.
Yeah. Love it.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for 2019 because it's now we have a vision, we have clarity of vision, and now it's just about execution, man.
Got it. Love it. So how can people get in touch with you if they have more questions for you? What's the best way for them to get in touch, or where can they find you?
Can they find me? They can find me on Facebook. I feel like that's the best way, because I don't know if I'm in Mexico, if I'm here, if I'm traveling. With Facebook, you can always reach me. But I can put my email down below, but definitely Facebook, because I'll know who that other person is, and I can share information, and you'll know that that's me and my pretty handsome face. Know that the number, because I can change numbers, but the Facebook, that's because I run my weekly huddles from there.
Okay.
All the networks. So reach me out via Facebook. It's /Humberto Gaeta 1, and then I also have the fan page, which is at Ask the Cookie Jar. Yeah, exactly. Dude, my name is Cookie, so I just go by Cookie now. Not even Humberto, but yeah, at Ask the Cookie Jar, and you'll find me.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Cookie, for coming on the show. I think that people will learn a lot and take away a lot. One final question. How many offers did it take you guys to get one deal under contract?
How many offers did it take?
Does it take?
In
the Bay Area?
In the Bay Area. We started off by it was about 47, but then we got it down to closer to 17.
Okay, got it.
17, and that's because we were networking with the right people now.
Got it. Yeah, I just want people to know that doing stuff in the Bay Area, like, just think about those numbers. And if you're listening and you're trying to flip houses in the Bay Area, if you're not at 47 or 20, you're not doing enough and not placing enough offers.
Take the emotion away from it. Submit those offers. Have that follow up. Just follow up.
Yeah.
Submitting the offer and getting denied is the first communication you're gonna have with some of these people. Yeah. Great. Follow up with them in a couple of days. Follow up with them in a week, in 2 weeks, and the fact that you're gonna stay there, it's almost like you're chasing after a girl. You got to keep on them in order to in order to be there. In order for them to know who Martel is, right?
Yeah.
So you have to follow up, man. With agents, and a lot of people, that's where the deals happen, because they go with the highest and best, and then there'll be just a wholesaler, there'll be someone that just can't pull through. And if you're there communicating that you have interest, all those other offers, what's going to separate you from all those other offers that got denied is that you're still interested.
Yep.
When they come back to you, they're like, well, it's not going to be to the same price. Now you have leverage. And so it can be done, and it will be done if you believe it. So guys and gals, do it. Just follow up.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I wanted to, because I know I asked you earlier, but just didn't get an answer. So I want people to know that that's the most important thing. It's people give up after they place 4 offers, and then they're like, it doesn't work. Well, have you placed 47 offers yet? Then call me and let me know, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's like, are you being consistent? And that's the one thing, like, business is about being consistent. Whether it's your marketing, whether it's your offers, whatever it is, and talking to the right people, be consistent in what you make, whatever it is. You don't have to be a master of all trades.
Yeah.
I focus on agents, and I just started drilling them and figuring out how to do it more systematized.
Yeah.
And I found a way. And that's something that we're creating a course where we're gonna be sharing the strategies that we did for that $200,000 a month. So we're creating a course right now that is actually we're doing today, and that we want to be able to share that with people, because I'm not in LA, I'm not in San Diego, I'm not in Phoenix, I'm not in other places, but I'm not going to be competing against those people. So if I can share this information with everybody else,
Yeah.
And for them to change their lives, dude,
Yeah.
all better. Like the whole philosophy is to be able to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to take all this money and riches, when I pass away. It's the memories that you make with these people. And I'm grateful to have met you and been on this type of podcast, and the business that we're going to be doing together.
Yeah.
Like those are the cool times that we're both learning, making things happen for the better of our family, of our future, and it's a cool thing. Those are the cool things when people get together. So
yeah,
thank you for having me on this podcast.
No worries. Yeah, thanks for coming on here. And one of my favorite quotes is, it's like, you can make all the money in the world, but it's about who you can actually go on vacation with, and building up those people to go on. You want to go on vacation alone? Yeah, sure, you can do everything alone, or you can, bring people up, raise the whole tide together, and then who do you want to be on vacation with is who you can do business with and help everybody else out, so you can have 50 friends on your next vacation.
Exactly. I'm still going to Canada.
Not in the winter time, in the summer. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Cookie. There's a lot of info here, and hopefully we'll have you back on once that course is done, and then you can actually talk about it on here.
Yeah.
And give people some more value, and maybe we can even do a screen recording type thing. You can walk through it, stuff like that. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. For everybody out there, go at it. Follow up, baby.
Let's go. Thanks.
Right.
See ya.
Thanks. Later.
Bye.